So last week we were talking about the two aspects, coexistence and nearness. So we went over in detail on what nearness is, and we're going to talk about identicality, but let's touch upon the nearness a little bit. So in coexistence, you entered the fringes of a new world. Any uneasiness felt during the coexistence calms down. So think of this coexistence like, I think I should explain this with a diagram. Let me share my whiteboard. So now think of this spiritual progress like this. I'll just draw something interesting. So our spiritual progress happens like this. So we start from here and we slowly progress along with this curvature. What happens when you reach here? So from here to here, when we reach, we drop. And this is typically happens for anyone who is practicing without a spiritual teacher. So this is how the role of the spiritual teacher kind of becomes vital in our spiritual upliftment or progress. So this, what Babuji called it as curvature. The curvature is the word you will hear when you read Babuji's literature. This curvature. And he also calls it as barzak. So this starting point is called the nearness. When you reach here, almost somewhere here, it becomes all this journey, you can call it as near coexistence. So when you reach here, you fall back. This is how the spiritual progress happens. You come all the way from bottom to here, and then if you don't have a teacher, you fall back. But when you reach here, what happens in our heartfulness is you are pushed to the next level. You are given a jump to the next level. And you start your journey again all the way from here till here. So when you jump from here to here, this jump, it's like you feel you are completely in a new dimension or new place. So any new place creates certain confusion, sudden adjustment. That during that adjustment period, you find your meditations are going little difficult. You cannot meditate, and you think you need some little push. If this is happening to you, you take few regular individual sessions, 1 or 2 or 3, however your time permits. Schedule with your trainer, heartfulness trainer, some few individual sittings. So this confusion, this dilemma of in a new place goes away, and then you get adjusted to it. So that's when the nearness begins, all the way till here. And then you're pushed again to the next. You're pushed again to the next. Otherwise, the people who, like I said, who have meditated, but there's no guru to push you, there is no a guide to push you, you kind of go in a circle here eternally. That's why they say in some of the saints, so-called saints, I want to say so-called saints, in the past, had to go in this rotation for almost 30,000 years. They kept themselves alive for 30,000 years and just going around the same circle again and again. Their meditations go deeper here. They say, oh, I've achieved something. And they fall back. And they go here and they fall back. So you need a caliber teacher to push you to the next, to the next, and to the next. So this is what when the curvature sets in, it's sort of a difficult period for meditation. And then as you push and push, and then, so this is, you see, this is a vertical journey. There is a slight horizontal expansion at wherever the state you are in. And when you are pushed to the next level, you begin again and you expand and you go begin and expand like this. So this expansion sort of, goes in a V shape like this. And when you go here, even you see in a very biblical references, this V shape a lot, right? I mean, those who have read Da Vinci Code, this V is represented again and again. What is it representing is as you go higher and higher, your expansion is more. At the lower levels, the expansion is sort of narrowed. Okay. So this is how this journey happens at each level. Like I said, I'll just repeat it for everyone's understanding. At the beginning, there is certain confusion because this is a new dimension. You have to settle down. Once you settle down, the nearness begins. From nearness, you go into identicality, and this is the merging point of that condition. Once you reach this condition, merger, you experience the deepest meditation here. Deepest meditation. You feel that the divine effulgence, the real feeling, real condition, but it is expanding. So we are not allowed to expand beyond this boundary. You can expand infinitely here on the horizontal level. But what happens is, once you start expanding beyond this horizontal, this line, you like that condition so much you don't want to get out of it. But if you go beyond these boundaries, what is called, you hear this term avadhuta a lot in spiritual literature, and some of the saints in the past are called with this word avadhuta. Oh, he is an avadhuta. Who is an avadhuta? At one level, who is expanding horizontally, not going vertically. They don't go vertically. They're only expanding horizontally. And they're in super blissful state. After a certain time, they don't know if they're wearing clothes or not. After a certain time, they don't know if they are eating or not. They're in a total blissful state, but at the lowest level, they're expanding. Buddha somewhere expanded, became an avadhuta at the state. He called this nirvana. But he could not go beyond this state. He could not go upwards from here because he didn't have a caliber teacher. But by his own efforts, he pushed him to this level and he became an avadhuta. And because he expanded, he kind of stuck at a very little higher level. They say his soul has to exist eternally because he cannot push beyond that, and he doesn't want to come out of that. It's a very unfortunate state, I would say. Please don't quote me this anywhere else, because people feel very sentimental about it. But at a very high level, he became an avadhuta. And that's why he himself said, I have to exist until the all the souls have merged into the divine. Every lost soul has merged into the divine. I have to wait until that moment. But fortunately, it's a good thing for us because there is one higher being always coexisting with us. And there is that influence will always be there with us. So that is the role, the masters play a vital role in our spiritual upliftment, but we don't see it because it's our inner journey and we cannot really understand and fathom, observe their work. But in our own progress, we can observe their work. That is the reason we need a living master, a living teacher who is working with us. I'll in our next session, maybe, I'll explain you how this work. I mean, because he's not physically with us. How is he able to give us this progress regularly? Okay, we'll talk about that in our next session. So we'll continue the reading. So in Sanskrit, Samip means nearness. So it is the stage where you begin to adjust to a new level. Sorry. I have to stop my Kindle and start again. Sorry. It's sometimes there is some bug, I think, with the Kindle. Okay. So Samip means closeness. We talked about it. So when you are feeling this condition of becoming, and your meditations are getting deeper and deeper, during the day, practice mini meditations. Take few minutes during the day and meditate before lunch and whenever you think you can get a break. So the feeling of a pervasive divine force transforms into a feeling that everything around you is absorbed in divinity. So some experience it as awe. They can't quite explain why looking at a flower or a bird or just sitting in silence fills their heart with joy. So now see how we start to cherish our life. What happens is as you get older, you are bogged down the burdens of the life, right? In younger ages, there is so much, other distractions which won't allow you to look at life in a very in a good perspective. But as you become older, you get bogged down with the burdens of the life. You cannot cherish life. But if you are a meditator who is going through all these experiences, you can really, everything you see, everything you feel as as an absorption. It kind of brings you joy. Even the most boring movie you can enjoy. So nearness continues to enliven with the help of mini meditations. And you feel the condition at the chakra in a wholesome way. So that completes the nearness. And then we talk about this identicality, sarupyata. Means, so this identicality is the most important aspect. All the spiritual practice is for this identicality. So there was a question, I was discussing with one of the Abhyasis yesterday. What is spirituality? Who is spiritual really? My definition is everyone, every being, an ant, a fly, a squirrel, a lion, elephant, humans, all are spiritual. No one is devoid of this spirituality. The only thing is, the question is about this identicality, the awareness of being spiritual means this higher essence is within everybody. No one is devoid of this higher essence. But as I recognize this higher essence, then I also recognize that that is my real, the real I or the real me, who is basically residing. When I refer to the I, what am I referring really? To this essence. But I don't really refer to that essence because our mind is so extrovert. The reference of I becomes with the possessions of the external world. Even my body is external to me. So I possess my body. So the referring to I is like, whether I'm a male or a female or how I look, all that becomes my identicality. Then my possessions become my identicality. My knowledge, my profession becomes my identicality. So if you see, the identicality so far we have is about the external self. But once you recognize this inner self, I start developing this identity with the inner self. Then my definition of I slowly changes. I no longer identify with myself as an external self, but the inner self. So the whole total goal, idea of spirituality is to identify ourselves with this inner self. So this identity happens at every level. Like I showed you on the curvatures, once you reach to the peak, you start identifying yourself with that essence. So once you are familiar with the various conditions at the chakra, you develop identicality. The word sarup, sorry, I don't know why it is going. Oh, the word swarup means the identical form. In identicality, your consciousness is akin to the new level. So how do you come to that identicality has begun? The feeling of lightness is one key sign. This is the more refined lightness, you can call it. So the lightness in the heart makes the weight of a mental activity lighter. Your thoughts seem lighter. Your interactions have a lightness where you don't get sucked into the unnecessary discussions. So the analogy of immigration to a new country is fitting for the stages of flowering of the chakra. The first time you arrive at immigration is the stage of coexistence. Over time, as you become familiar with your surroundings and settle down in the new country, you are in the stage of nearness. Once you are well settled and all feelings being an outsider are gone, you identify yourself as one with the new country. So this is the stage of identicality. So your consciousness is in resonance with the new vibratory level. So the spirituality is all about a vibratory level. I mean, it's not spirituality. Let's get to a common understanding. This Sanskrit word called Jagat. You know what Jagat means? That which has gati. Gati means movement. That which is in a vibratory state. Even if you see that in a microscope, the atoms, everything, the electrons, everything is in motion. Go to a string theory, it talks about vibrations. So the whole existence, even the definition of existence itself is that which has a vibratory state. So there are vibratory states which can resonate with that which is all pervading, that which is everywhere, anantam, limitless. So limitless is beyond space and time. If I am in resonance with that vibratory state, then you are slowly going towards this identicality and merger. That's the idea. So you are aware that something significant has changed within. You feel grateful and settled, but nature wants you to keep growing. So the urge to move further starts taking the shape in your heart. As a result, a feeling of negation begins in the heart. This negation is the biggest term. Many people understand negation slightly differently. Just because it is said negation, like in a typical, from in a scriptural world, the people who are exposed to the scriptures, they saw this word negation. Or negation means I should negate everything, all my desires, all my anticipations, everything, and become nothing. Suppose if I want an ice cream, or negate it. Suppose if I identify with my body, or you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are not this, you are not that. They're always trying to achieve in a very negative context. But here, negation is a state of being where you are identifying yourself with that inner essence. When I identify with my inner essence, all other identities drop. So dropping of all other identities is called negation. You are not really dropping. You are not doing anything actively. They all drop. So you're in a passive state and in identicality with that higher essence. So negation is a silent realization that lays the groundwork for the merger, which is the fourth stage of the opening of the chakra. So we'll talk about merger, Sayujyata, in our next session. I'll stop here. I'll stop for any questions. If there are no further questions, we can get into meditation.